welcome to episode 51 of the Whatnauts review show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, TV show, anime, manga, comic book, audio drama, all kinds of entertainment. We watch it or read it, or however it needs to be absorbed. We absorb it into ourselves, and then we come back here and we talk about it with each other.
Hell yeah.
My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I am joined, as always, by Kyle Springer. Kyle, how has your week been?
My week has been good. I just hit the wrong button on accident on the little stream thing, so our spoiler alert thing started to pop up. But I was like, no, enough of that.
You have to learn about how Kyle's other weeks have been before you learn about how this week goes. Otherwise, you're going to be so confused.
My week has been good. Yesterday, we had kind of like a cookout barbecue thing for my roommate. Because it was his birthday, and we had everything from Yahtzee to cornhole to drinking Jenga. We made like bigger pieces of Jenga, and certain ones had like drinking rules to take a drink or give someone else a drink, or or everyone drinks. And so we did that, and that was a lot of fun.
That does sound
fantastic. So I'm in a good mood. Thankfully, I'm not hungover or anything like that.
That sounds fun,
would
but
have
also dangerous.
Would have been bad. I was like, I have the podcast in the morning. I can't overdo it. Here we are. How about yourself?
I had a good day yesterday. I just went and played with my 2-year-old niece. So we had very different days, but they were both good.
You played a regular Jenga.
She made me read 5 storybooks before we put her down for a nap.
Well, that's a good haul.
She's really the boss. It was only supposed to be 1.
Sounds about right. What are we talking about this week, Melissa?
This week, we watched Pen15. This is a new show on Hulu. This is a comedy from Maya Erskine and Anna Konkle, where they play their 13-year-old selves growing up in the year 2000. So it's these 2 adult actresses surrounded by real, 13-year-olds.
Yeah. I had heard a lot about this show. It has a really good premise.
Yeah.
And one of the ways I heard it described was like, this is the live action version of Big Mouth on Netflix, which Big Mouth is a cartoon. It's kind of the same thing. They're in middle school, high school, and they're like first discovering puberty and what it's like to do all of that stuff. And so it's a lot of the same in this show.
Yeah. It fits into the wider world of coming of age stories, but it feels like something really personal and really special. And I enjoyed this one a lot. What did you think of it?
I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a big fan, actually.
I knew we were going to come to this with very different perspectives. Like, oh boy, this is such a girly show. I don't know what Kyle's going to think about it.
I don't mind it being girly. It's I mean, I don't even feel like it was overly girly, if that makes sense. I think it was a lot like One Punch Man for me. It has a really good joke. It has a really good gag, and it just kind of overstayed its welcome. But we'll get more into that once we dive into spoilers and stuff like that. Synopsis wise, it's kind of, I mean, we already kind of mentioned, I guess we can maybe mention 1 or 2 things that happens in the show just to give people a taste. But I think you mentioned it takes place early 2000s. Which is why you have
year
your
2000.
Your pigtails on right now. I
tried to dress how I would have, and an outfit little me would have thought was cool at this time. So I'm like, okay, let's bring some pigtails back. Let's get my stretchy choker necklace. Let's get stripes, because this show is covered with striped shirts.
Yep.
let me get into that mindset again.
Yeah, so it's the show starts out. It's the first day of 7th grade, and Maya and Anna are best friends who have vowed to do everything together. their first kiss. They'll all be doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
Like just stupid stuff like that. Which is 100% what I can see little 7th grade girls doing. Like, oh my god, we need to do everything together.
Yes.
And they go from class to class, just kind of experiencing life and learning what the internet is, and discovering boys and porn and drugs and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah, there's like the we're going to a party where I might get to make out with a boy episode. There's the AIM episode.
Yeah.
There's we found a
AOL
cigarette
Instant
episode.
Messenger. Yeah. It's good stuff. Like, despite me not really liking it, I think it's well made.
Yeah, and it's very sweet.
Yeah. Definitely. A little bit of housekeeping for you. You may have seen it on the tweet that I posted when we were going live. This is the last episode of the review show that we will be live streaming to the public. The show is not ending. We're still going to be here, still making this show. If you listen on the free feeds as a podcast or on YouTube, it'll still be out every Wednesday. However, if you want to get episodes early, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is where you can do that. And for a single buck, you can get episodes early. And it used to be that you could live stream this with us every Sunday at noon, and we would be here live for anyone who could make it. But because this is kind of a book club style show, doesn't really make for great live streamed content. So we are adding the live stream of this show to the $1 Patreon tier. So we will still be live streaming it. We might have to work a few kinks out still, because I think we'll be switching over to YouTube for that, so we can do some private live streams and stuff like that. But we'll figure it out. We'll let you guys know, and if you guys want to join in and be part of the conversation, that would be fantastic. Patreon.com/the Whatnauts for a single buck. That would be awesome. Last week on the show, we also covered Umbrella Academy Season 1, the new hit show on Netflix based off of the comic by Gerard Way. So go check that out. It's on anywhere you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube.
You can watch it. You can listen to it.
Yeah.
The two kinds.
Yeah. You can do both. You can go to a library and download the episode multiple times on all of the computers. That would be fantastic. It would help our numbers. That, I think, is all the housekeeping I have for now. And we'll have a little bit more at the end of the show when we wrap things up. But let's get on to spoilers for Pen15. There we go. Spoiler alert. Now I hit the right button.
Good.
That time. Yeah. So if you have not watched this show, or we're planning on it, go watch it now. We will this podcast will be here. I don't know if I will be here in this same seat whenever you're ready to watch this, but the podcast will be available for you guys to come back to and join in on the discussion. So with that, let's dive in. Let's dive into Pen15. Guys, if you didn't know, I'm about to blow your mind. Pen15 spells penis. Okay? Just putting that out there.
We just want to prevent anybody else from having a Department H scenario.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, I do have to make a correction myself. Let me make sure I get this name right. Academy. Last week on our episode. There we go. I made I made a fool of myself in something I said, and didn't like I wouldn't have realized it until I listened to another podcast and they mentioned it, and I was like, that's why. God damn it. So
What?
I made the comparison to the character of Klaus in the show to a character in Misfits who I thought was very, very similar. That's because I'm an idiot and it's literally the same actor. I was like, man, they sure look a lot alike. They sure act a lot alike. It really reminds me of this other guy, and it happens to be Robert Sheehan is the actor's name, and they mentioned that he was also in Misfits, and like immediately when they said that, I was like, oh my god, I'm an idiot. But anyways, that is my official correction. They are not different people. They are, in fact, one in the same. So. There you go.
Okay, now that this important news item has been out of the way.
Yes.
What do you want to start with? What did you like most about this show?
I like the gag that they have. The whole conception of the idea of like, hey, it's middle school. All of the other actors are in middle school except for us. We're gonna be our like 30-year-old selves. I don't know how old they are, but
I think they are like 30, 31.
Something
around
like that,
there.
yeah. And it's like we're gonna be our normal age, just acting the part.
Yes.
Which kind of it both plays on the like the old school Hollywood trope of like, hey, here's the 30-year-old playing the 15-year-old. You know, it's just like that guy. You can tell he shaves every day. Like, I like that's there might be that one guy in middle school who has the really thick mustache and you don't know why, but like that's not what you see, and it like so it kind of plays on that, which is why it's really funny. Excuse me, I have something caught in my throat. And I really like that gag, but to me, I think it works best in short bursts, if that makes sense.
Okay, I see that.
I really liked a lot of the like cold opening stingers or the like end credits scenes that they would do, because it's just a real quick 30-second to a minute and a half gag, and it's like, that was great. I loved that. And then the opening like theme song they have is fantastic, and it gets into the rest of the show, and it just keeps going with this stuff, and I'm just like, okay, that's all right. I guess we're still doing this one same gag.
Well, what I like about it is that it goes beyond being a gag. It's not like they designed the show like, oh, let's tell a coming of age story, but let's put adult actors in the two lead roles. Let's cast them. Like it's these two women who wrote and created the entire thing, and they are playing themselves exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's so personal. It's not just it's funny. I think it is definitely is funny, but there's such an emotional layer behind that I didn't get tired of. Like I like to just watch the show and think about just those two women having so much fun, being nostalgic, and like, you know, fake play fighting each other and doing those silly dances and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, it really charmed me all the way through.
Like it's a fun show, despite me thinking the gag like overstayed its welcome, and also me saying like the gag or something like that, like I feel like almost belittles it. Like it's actually like it's the actual idea of the show, and it's weird because going into this, I thought it was gonna be more of a comedy. So it was a little bit less funny than I expected, which might have been just like, oh, I heard, you know, nothing but good things. And so maybe it was a little overhyped for me. Who knows? But what I was not expecting that I actually really liked were the more dramatic episodes. like the whole idea of them kind of really learning about what racism is for the first time and having to deal with that. Like it's a much more serious topic than like, oh my god, Nick called me. Oh my god.
Yeah, the last handful of episodes, like the jokes decrease just because the characters are getting to a much more emotional place. Like I think the end of the second to last episode, there's like a solid 5 or 6 minutes with no jokes in it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fantastic.
And like the writing in those moments are really, really good because I don't think you see, like, I obviously this show is not meant for younger kids as it's like TV MA.
Yeah.
But like that being said, there's not a lot of shows that look like that or appear to be aimed at maybe a more younger audience that are kind of dealing with those topics in that way, if that makes sense. Like I like, you'll see shows deal with racism and stuff like that, but not in the way that, like, this is these kids' first time not necessarily hearing the word, but like actually putting some critical thought behind it and being like, what does this actually mean? What does this mean for me? What does this mean at my age? You know, and them coming into contact with adults who are experienced is not the right word, but just like they've been around longer, they've dealt with it.
Yeah, like some of the adults are a little jaded, like the principal, that one mean older teacher who she shows up very sporadically just for a little bit, but I really liked her.
From, by the way,
I don't think she's from anything. I kept looking at all of these supporting actors trying to figure out if I recognized anybody, and I didn't. Except for Al Borland as Maya's dad. He's a real treat.
Yeah.
Some of the adults in their lives are a little bit jaded, not in like a pessimistic, cynical way, but just in a, oh, okay, kids, sit down. Like it's not that big of a deal. Just keep going about your day. Like don't make a fuss over this.
Yeah.
Like maybe they're not jaded. They're just tired. The adults in this world are tired.
Yeah. I mean, they're dealing with middle school teenagers who are starting to be all over the place and rebellious, and a lot of that stuff is very formative, but at the same time, a lot of it can be fads instead, or like the phases, and like it's one of those things. Like I look back at myself in middle school, and I'm like, thank God I am not that person anymore. Yeah. That, like, I don't like the way I looked, I don't like the way I dressed, I don't like the way I thought, the music I listened to, I didn't like anything. But there are certain things that do stick with you, though.
Yes.
Or, like, this actually wasn't a phase. Like, this was me discovering who I am, you know? And so, yeah, like, I'm wondering if parents, or, like, the parents in his show kind of have that jaded aspect to them, just because it's like, okay, they're a teenager now. This is going to happen, you know. Let's just buckle down and get through this. So I'm trying to find out if I can see who that teacher was, because I feel like I recognized her from something.
She looks like so many other old teachers. And I like that she wasn't exactly that classic super mean old teacher. She's just like done with the kids. She's like, really? This is what you're up to? Okay, I have to punish you, I guess. Like, she's just exhausted more than she is, like, I don't know, belligerent to them, which is, like, a lot of stuff in this show. It's just, like, one or two shades off of very classic, like, coming-of-age, middle school, growing up stories. And so everything feels very familiar, but still very fresh.
Yeah. So I'm looking at her IMDb page. The actress's name is Jill Basie, and she's been in things like Dexter, How I Met Your Mother, Will and Grace. I don't know how prominent any of these roles are, but like how to get away with murder, who knows? Like she's in a bunch of stuff, but it looks like stuff that I don't know.
She might just be one of those, hey, it's them kind of character actors.
Yeah, might be something like that. Who knows? And Horrible Bosses 2 is also in that one.
Illustrious.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So like I don't know. Like I feel like I kind of wanted. I don't know exactly what I wanted with this show, because I like the idea. Like I feel like it works best as skits.
Okay, I can see
and
that.
then it's like, hey, here's this opening stinger, here's this cold open, or here's this skit we made that we'll put at the end of the show, and then maybe a show. Like I don't know why, but my mind keeps going to like, not a talk show, that makes it sound boring, but some show where they are like
a variety show or
something,
something, or
maybe, yeah, just like where they are exploring these topics. I just don't know if I liked it in this manner. If that made sense. Who knows? But yeah, like I like the whole idea of in a whole episode based around making in AOL instant messenger account and like discovering it for the first time and be like, but wait, I need to see if he's online, or but tell her that I'm here too. It's like, oh, Kyle says hi, and like all of the away message sounds and the like all of that stuff. It's perfect. And like I feel like even just that whole, like that the opening stinger in that one was them signing online, and it's them waiting, just like,
it's like
okay,
silent,
and
it's just the sounds of dial-up.
It's the dial-up sounds, and it's great. I love it, because even just that, like that one moment, brought back all of those memories already for me. And so I guess, yeah, like that's why I'm like, okay, I already have all of these memories. Like that one thing you did already brought it back, and then they're being like, okay, well, there's the away messages, and there's the sounds, and there's the joining a chat room for the first time, and like joining ones you probably shouldn't be in, and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, I met someone, we're talking, what do I do? Like all of those memories already had come back, and so it just seemed like extra. Not that the waiting for the dial up to finish dialing up was the best one they could have done, because each of them is like, oh, it's great to be like, what chat room should we go in, and they're like, how about hot single couples in our area,
Hotties of Franklin County.
Yeah, like each moment could have been its own skit. That makes sense.
No, I definitely see what you're talking about. The sitcom format like really worked for me because I love the emotional arc of it. Because it's so, like I said, it's so personal, it's so honest. This is everyone's parents did divorce when she was in middle school, the way Anna Cohn's parents are divorced, but it feels like very honest and very raw. And I like that storyline a lot, in that there's plenty of stories of like young kids whose parents get divorced, but she could like see it coming, and she's very sad, but she's not necessarily like shocked by it. She's like, yep, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, like I love the emotional parts of it, and I love all the little side characters. The supporting characters in the show are fantastic. And I feel like this is all stuff we would lose if it was more like gag-based skits as part of a larger program.
Yeah. Yeah, they had like, I kind of almost wish it was more on the dramatic side. If I was going to say, if that makes sense. I keep saying if that makes sense.
No,
That
I
that's like
believe
one of the
I will stop you if
things
something
that
doesn't make sense, Kyle.
it's not that I'm like, well, maybe she doesn't think that it makes sense. It's more of just like I've said that like 6 times on the podcast. People must hate me by now. It's like, God damn it, Kyle, it makes sense. Just move on. But yeah, like they do the drama so well, and like having the supporting cast, like because usually younger actors are hit or miss, and they did fantastically.
Yeah, I love all the performances in this show.
Who was the guy that ended up being Fly Miami?
Oh, Sam! Sam is great.
Burrow. What else has he been in? Because I feel like I recognized him as well.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been in other things or if he just has some sort of a classic child actor look to him. I don't know.
Gosh.
He was great. I love the mean girl Becca.
Yeah, he's only been in one thing. Holy cow.
Huh.
I feel like I've seen him from somewhere else. Oh well.
Mm.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, maybe a commercial or something. Who knows?
I feel like IMDb would even have commercials. Maybe
I don't know. I don't get that deep into it. I just use it for, hey, what year did this come out? How many episodes is this TV show?
Yeah.
What's the release date for Shazam again? It's next week.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite side character?
I really liked Sam and his two friends. Like, I think Gabe is the one kid out of the two friends that does the most talking. He was so charming every time he showed up. He probably has like, I don't know, 8 lines out of the entire 10
But it's some of the funniest lines.
But they're all killers.
Yeah. It's great. And he says it in such a deadpan, just like, yes. This is normal. Come on, guys. Yeah. Like
this show did such a great job of making everything feel so heightened because everything is the most important thing in the world to these kids, but also so grounded, so believable.
Yeah.
I like the world of this middle school that they created. I like that their mascot is somehow the yam, and it's like not quite prevalent enough to be a joke. Like, it's not a joke, it's just like weird background set dressing. And you absolutely believe, oh, sure, like, I guess some school out there would have a weird mascot like a yam. There's all kinds of weird mascots out there.
Yep. Like we had the hornet statue with the big old stinger. Yeah. So that's 100% believable.
I wouldn't say this isn't believable, but I was continually surprised at like how mature things got. Maybe I was just a big old square when I was 13, but the fact that they're like, yeah, we're going to huff this can of computer cleaner pressurized air. I'm like, what are you doing? You're talking about fingering this young? Is this what kids did?
Yeah. That's what they did.
That's what we did. Video games got more prevalent so that kids could spend their time on that and not huffing a can of air.
Thank you, Grand Theft Auto.
It's safer for you.
Yeah, like that. I feel like in my head I wanted to keep comparing this to Napoleon Dynamite.
It does have that feel in that it's got jokes, but it's just the sort of level of mundane quirkiness that is really keeping you engaged and entertained.
There's, I think the big difference between them, though, is that Napoleon Dynamite leans into the really awkward, really weird, whereas this, it has glimpses of that, of like, okay, that guy's being really awkward, but then it just kind of moves on, like your day in middle school does, you know? You'll go from it's the best day ever to this is the worst day ever, you know?
Yeah.
And
I feel
back
like
again.
Napoleon Dynamite, I don't know. I feel like Napoleon Dynamite is not supposed to be the kid you were. It was like the kid you saw around who you were vaguely acquainted with. And it's like, that's what he's like when he goes home. Anna and Maya are supposed to be you. Like, they're supposed to be more relatable instead of observational, if that tracks.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
makes sense. You should have just said if that makes sense. But that way I wouldn't be the one saying it.
What in this show did you relate to the most? Like, yes, I remember doing that exactly when I was that age or in this year, because we are a couple years
um,
younger than them.
I think I've been in situations where it's like the awkward, you're at your friend's house and they're like getting in a fight with the parents or something, and it's
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
what do I do? Like, do I
Yeah.
just sit here and watch? Do I leave? Do I, like,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I've
Oh.
had that happen. I think the instant messenger episode was really relatable. I mean, you still kind of do a lot of those things
Mhm.
nowadays. It's just in a different form.
Mhm.
But that was like relatable in the sense of like, oh yeah, like I remember making my screen name. I remember having to wait, for it to get online. I remember all of this. I remember having to get those like AOL discs from
Yes.
Target, that had the like 6 months of AOL
Mhm.
on it. Um, and yeah, just the idea of like that's what we would do. Like I would go spend the night at a friend's
Mhm.
house, and like that Saturday when we woke up, we'd spend the first like 4 hours on instant messenger just
Oh.
talking to people
Hmm.
and messing with them and stuff like that. And like conversations were never about anything. Like
Mhm.
it was just the stupidest stuff, and it was just like that's what we did. That was the most relatable stuff. Me, because I didn't have siblings, so the whole thing
Mm.
like, oh, can you go beat them up for me? Like I
Oh.
never had that. Um, I think even seeing the cafeteria, just like, oh, you're gonna go
Yeah.
sit with the popular girls now? Okay.
Mhm.
And they have all of their c- cliques, which they didn't really get into too much, but they were there.
I think they got into it enough. Yeah.
Well, so I guess I don't know what it's like from a girl's
Mhm.
perspective. Um, which I know that there was the like there's the popular girls, there's
Mhm.
the nerdy girls, there's the this type and that type,
Mhm.
but like I get, yeah, like it's one of those things. You said they got into it, but I don't ever felt like it was a topic of an episode,
Yeah.
which is kind of what I would expect from this show.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that they put in a little bit of what you know, but it's not exactly what you expect. Like I was saying, it's everything's like just a couple shades off of very classic standard cookie cutter. This is how you tell a school story for a kid growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can see that there are cliques kind of, but they don't like narrate all of them to you like it's Mean Girls.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Mean Girls is also a good good comparison with this show.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like I'm if they get a season 2, I don't know if they've confirmed
I'd
it or
hope so.
not.
I really would like to see where the rest of this show goes. One thing that was on my wish list for this show was a mall episode
Yes,
because that was what was the center of my life when I was that age. I loved to go to the mall.
where
And we
they mentioned the band Bewitched, but also a concert episode, like going to their first concert
That'd be
together or something
great.
would be a
Yeah.
great one. Yeah. Um,
Uh,
I forget what I was about to say before that.
but about the mall,
Oh well. Yes.
that's what I wanted to see. And as I watched the show, I'm like, of course I can't do a mall episode because it would have to be a mall of 2000. And that's so much like set redressing, and like you have to block out an entire mall and change everything. Like
They
I get
could
that
build
is
some sets.
they're not going to build a set. They're going to go to a mall. And like I understand that that's too high of a production cost maybe, so I hope this is done well, and I hope they get a season 2 with a little bit bigger budget and I can just get a mall episode.
I don't know though, because they like other Hulu exclusive shows have done like time period pieces and stuff like that. Like all of 11 2263 is back in the 60s, you know, right before the Kennedy assassination. So like I feel like they could do it if they want to, but then it's I don't know if it's a measure of like, hey, that was only a limited series. This is more of a sitcom, kind of thing. Who knows?
Maybe they're like, oh, we'd have to get a Sam Goody in there. How do we license out Sam Goody, the dead CD store? Who owns Sam Goody anymore?
Yeah, I mean, they could probably get away with it by not exactly showing it, but just like being inside that type of store.
Like they had AIM. They didn't have like awesome instant messaging. It was AIM.
But so AOL is still around. Instant Messenger is not, though they may have filmed that before it went away, because that was only like last year that they were like, all right, we're finally shutting it down. So I mean, I don't know how long ago they filmed that. It could have been a year ago, right before it shut down. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I wanted a mall. I wanted a mall. Just for the nostalgia's sake of let's go into the Sam Goody, let's go into the Suncoast, the Walden books, all of those.
Yeah.
But also, just imagine them tracking other kids they know at the mall, or like running into somebody, or like trying to lose somebody. They're like, oh, it's that guy. He's so annoying. Let's lose him in the Dillards or something like that.
Yeah.
A mall excites me and I wanted it. And that's some of my primary like middle school and high school memories are mall based. But I also really liked the second last episode, the sleepover episode.
Yeah.
And how you just become ingrained into a family if you're there long enough. And just the feeling of sitting down at a family's dinner table and eating a dinner with them, because that's something you completely lose once you get older, because your friends don't live with their parents anymore. I don't remember the last time I sat down with my friends and their parents at their home dinner table, and I kind of miss it. I miss like
you can host a dinner party or something.
But
be like, you're inviting your family.
There's something about like that nice, pleasant, amicable small talk with parents you have when you're growing up that I weirdly miss. Like the episode where Maya gets really into masturbating and she lies to Anna about it. She's like, oh, I can't hang out with you. I'm going to go study at Sam's. And so Anna tries to go to Sam's to find her, and she's just talking with Sam's parents. I really loved that, because I would be that kid that's like, why, hello, you have a lovely home. Let's sit and chat for a little bit. That's something you completely lose when you get older. And I liked seeing that preserved also. This timeless thing. It has existed for decades. It will exist for decades more, of kids just trying to make mature, pleasant small talk with their friends' parents.
It was so like that scene to me was so awkward, because she finds out pretty fast that Maya's not there.
Yeah.
And it instead of being like, all right, well, Sam's in his room, you can go say, you know, hi to them. She just like, it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to stay here. Not like, I don't need to talk to Sam.
Yeah.
Like
she just needs something comforting.
Parents don't really know. Like, you can tell they don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
The mom knows, okay, she's just been lied to. Let me at least get her a snack, you know, and be nice. But then eventually the dad is there, and you can tell that they just have no idea, like, how do we tell you that, like, you need to leave? And, like we can't really do anything else for you. So yeah, it was so awkward. And then she finally walks in on them, and they're like watching HBO, and
They're
it's all
trying to
fuzzy.
find one blurry boob.
Yeah. Oh my god, you perverts!
Do you have an instance of watching a movie like way more mature than you and like feeling glad that you're like, yeah, I snuck it in, or you're like, oh, our parents are gonna let us watch this, or like your buddies, like Justin's parents are gonna let us watch this. Yeah, there might be a boob in it.
There might be a boob. Not really. I grew up really religious, and that was kind of both ingrained in me, and like I was also like active in it. It wasn't just like, well, I'm here because my parents made me kind of thing. Like I actually enjoyed it back in the day. I don't now, but yeah, like I don't really have that. But yes, I like on the other hand, like I remember like being up late at night and having a TV in my room, and like if I go to HBO, they're running the infomercials for Girls Gone Wild, and I was just like, maybe I'll see something.
Yeah, maybe they will forget to edit these frames out of the commercial they air 3 times a night and have been doing so for months.
It'd be for
maybe
like half an hour, just the same like 5-minute infomercial over and over and over again. And every now and again it would get clearer, and it's just like, this is so dumb. Yeah. I think that was like the closest to that kind of experience I had, because I'm not a horror movie fan, so I don't like that type of stuff. Also I felt like I still am into like anime and comics and stuff like that, so it's always just like, nah, I'm fine with like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. Like I'm totally cool with that. Street Sharks.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the age where like adult things are almost a burden to you. I remember for my
kind of, yeah.
Was I 10? I was like 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. In my birthday, it was my birthday, and my mom took me to the Sam Goody at the mall and let me buy an anime tape. So I bought a Tenchi movie because I really liked like the Tenchi Muyo, Tenchi Universe, whatever was airing on Toonami at the time. And I got it home and I'm watching it, and I realized that Mom and I both completely glossed over the fact that there's like a 16 and up sticker on this VHS box, and like there was boobs in the movie, and I'm like, what?
Edited it for TV.
Do I do with this?
Yeah, there's.
So I remember like, well, I still want to know how this movie goes. I guess I will have to just wake up at like 1 a.m. when my parents are asleep, and I will just have. That's the only time I can watch this movie. Like it wasn't exciting. It wasn't like, oh yeah, an adult movie. I'm like, well, now when do I watch this thing? Now I have to hide it. Great.
Yeah, that was also an experience, like realizing that the anime I'm watching on TV is often edited, not only for America but for TV, so it often gets like a double whammy. And then like somehow finding the original online or buying a VHS of it, it's like, oh, I've seen this one on TV. And you watch it, and it's like, whoa, that is not what they said there before. It's like, oh my god, that's there. She is topless now. Okay, there you go. Anime titties.
This still happens to me now as an adult, where I will hear a version of a song that I did not realize had been radio edited, and I'm like, well, what's this version with curse words in it now? Why are they saying, oh shit? I thought they said, oh snap. What happened to oh snap? I liked it better.
No one says "oh snap" in a song, Melissa. They don't say things like "ding dang" and except for if you're that witch doctor song. Ding dang, what a bing bang. Let's see. So let's talk a little bit more about the idea of them being older in this show and what that does, kind of dramatically. You think that helps out with, like you mentioned, this show felt very authentic because the creators are playing themselves, right? Did you feel like that added to the, I guess, the depth of the show, or did it make it funnier for you that it was like, oh, it's out of place, but it's meant to be out of place, if that makes sense? Because for those kids, like they're kind of acting like what they do in a normal life, and then with the main characters, it's them remembering what they did. So there is this disconnect kind of between the two groups of characters, so to speak.
Oh, I liked it. I think it did make it funnier, just because there's like a different kind of joy involved in making it. It's not just like, we're little kids, and we're not little kids. They're 13. It's like, oh, we're making up a dance, versus we are 30 years old remembering what it was like to be 13, and we're going to do the dance we would have thought was cool when we were 13. I like it on the comedy level, and I like it on the emotional level. Like the scene in the second to last episode where it's Maya and her mom, and that actress is her real mom.
Yeah.
And her mom saying, like, you will always be my little girl. And it's true. Like, we're seeing it playing out in real life here. There's a mom and her real daughter who is playing herself at a younger age. That's incredible. I've never seen anything like that in any other movie or show or anything, and I think it's something really special.
Yeah. Yeah, it's neat to see those little touches of oh, that is actually her real mom. And then there's that one end credit scene where she turns into an owl.
I did like this. Sometimes the show would get really absurd, but just in these tiny little sprinklings that were perfect. I did not want more of that. They gave you exactly enough. Like the whole episode with Oji-chan, like the ghost of Maya's grandfather floating around and watching her. Or the AIM episode where they're looking at like Brendan's away message, which is like the lyrics to a Sugar Ray song.
Yeah.
And just like his floating head appears on screen reading them. Like they only use that effect once and it's used perfectly, and then they don't use it again. Like they put in really weird things exactly the right amount, I think.
Yeah. It was often the end credits scenes where they got like extra layered, or just like, wouldn't it be funny if like this thing happened? Like, wouldn't it be funny if my mom turned into that weird owl that was staring at me that I don't know if was real or fake, you know? And then the like ghost of Oji-chan, and it's the scene with the brother, and he's now downloading porn, and you just see him in the back like, nice. It's really, really funny in those moments. Like I feel like there was like I feel like this show has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
That I would like to see them explore, because also with like I kind of want to see them explore different styles of filming and styles of making the show.
Yeah.
Like it's still the same like idea that the creators are playing themselves as if they were 13 years old, or like what they remember themselves to be. And maybe it's a more serious episode, maybe it's not, and it's just their typical one. But there were also like different TV shows that they could pull influence from. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, X-Files, like what if they did something like that?
Yeah.
And like what if they because I maybe you did the thing, but we would always discuss like the weird urban legends in our
Oh
town. Like, oh
yeah.
my god, have you heard of the Bunny Man? You know, and it's like he lives out by this thing,
Hmm.
and like, what if they did that in the show, but kind of filmed it as if it was an X-Files episode?
Yeah.
Something like that would be neat.
They do some home video sort of style
Mhm.
footage in the
Which I
last
really liked
episode
that.
where everybody's getting ready for the dance. I'd like to see a whole episode that is like
Like
a
a
home
home
video
movie.
or like the girls are trying to make a movie.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah, because I did that too. We would be like, all right, let's get like 5 of our friends and let's just make a movie. And we would do some like weird movie starring Shaquille O'Neal and some stupid thing like that. And we'd have lightsabers and we'd fight and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
that, like, yeah, something like that would be neat to
Hmm.
see them do a whole episode that was shot on film in those
Yeah.
older cameras or
Yeah,
on like
because
on a camcorder in like 360p.
this might be me being a big square, but what I remember most from being like 13 years old is how into something I would get.
Hmm.
Like, I wasn't a gossipy kid. I didn't really have crushes or anything like that. So I'd like to
Uh-huh.
see an episode. I'd like to see
Uh-huh.
fine. What are we gonna do? I wasn't really to the degree to which I was a nerd. Like, you take the amount of time I'm thinking about any cute boy at school, and then you take the amount of time I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen on Lost this week. That's way higher. Like, just how much of a fan you can get of something when you're that age. I'd like
Hmm.
to see an episode that's like really focused on them getting absolutely into like a band or a movie or a
Yeah.
TV show or something like that, because that's what really defines that age in my life for me. Looking
Yeah.
back, it's not like that's when I had my first kiss. It's like I remember I went to a midnight showing of a movie I was really excited to go see. And it
Yeah.
was like a cool, mature thing. Like, I am going to a midnight movie, but
Went to
also
go
like,
see NSYNC in concert for the first
yeah,
time. And I sat in the nosebleeds, and it was the greatest thing ever.
yes. I like fandom is so strong in you when you're that age. And I'd like to see an episode more about that beyond just like, let's see if we can get tickets for the Bewitched concert. Like, I want to see them go, I want to see them watch a movie 8 times in like a week or
Yeah.
something like that.
Watch some Lindsay Lohan movie.
Hmm.
They had a lot of references to bands and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
of course, there's pictures of like Justin Timberlake and stuff
Hmm.
like that all on their walls. Um, but yeah, I feel like music in this show, besides the one like part of that episode that was about Bewitched,
Yeah.
there wasn't much of a music influence on this, or at least from
Hmm.
what I gathered, which I feel like is a big, like, glaring omission of like,
I
there's no mention of 98 degrees in here,
it's
you know?
it's there. It's not super prevalent. Like, there's like posters
It's
in
in
the
the
back of their rooms and in
background.
their lockers. Like, the songs they're playing like at the dance are really perfect.
Yeah. Oh, Melissa, you are
I'm like
getting.
concerned about making it seem too much.
I was gonna say you were
Am I?
getting robot-y, but you're back now.
I fixed it. That's how
Hmm.
good I am. I'm getting better at this. Maybe they were afraid of falling too much into just like leaning on nostalgia too much. Like, of course people are gonna like it. You know,
But
we played that song.
isn't that what the show is, though? Them
It's
playing on their nostalgia of being
it's
that age?
I think it's a different kind. Like, there's, hey, look, we lined up all of these old bands and old fashions and old movies you loved when that you were that age. And also remember those feelings, those deep, specific internal feelings of being lonely or feeling left out or wanting
Hmm.
to be more mature. it's leaning on that. Well, it's not leaning on it. It is embodying that nostalgia very strongly with just a sprinkling of that more specific branded material nostalgia. And I was just talking about how much I want to see them go to the mall. I need
Yeah.
that kind of material nostalgia, but I get that that's something you have to do very carefully.
Yeah. I mean, it can also be something like music licensing. Maybe they didn't
Yeah.
have the money to get the songs from NSYNC that they really
Mhm.
wanted, and also to do an episode where they like go to an NSYNC or Backstreet
Yeah.
Boys concert. Some of those guys aren't in dancing shape these days. You know, like that might I feel like they would have to make up their own band for
Mhm.
the show and have it just be like a stand-in for the Backstreet
Maybe.
Boys
Oh,
or the
speaking of
Spice
music,
Girls or something, you know.
um, in the show, Maya's dad is a drummer for a Steely Dan cover band.
Yes.
I listened to a podcast interview with these two actresses, and in real life, her dad was a drummer for real Steely Dan. And she's like, that was just too big and special of a thing to put into this very grounded feeling show. So they changed it to him being the much less impressive drummer in a Steely Dan cover band.
They're playing at some like roadside motel
Yeah.
with 3 people there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, like there's all sorts of directions I think this show could go for season 2.
Mhm.
Um or it I feel like it'd be interesting for them to like invite other people on the show too, like other comedians also
Yeah.
like their age
I was
playing
wondering
themselves,
if they'd ever do that.
get like a transfer student or you know a new student,
Hmm.
um something like that could be funny, or if they have like they went to the high school's basketball game or
Hmm.
something, and yeah, they meet like what's his name, John Delaney or whoever it is. I'm
John
not.
Mulaney?
Yeah, you know, I don't keep up with all these comedians and what they do, you know. But yeah, like if they met like him and someone else,
Hmm.
like Aziz Ansari are like the 2 best friends from their rival school, and
I
like
that's
something like that I feel
I'd
like
like
would
to
be
see that
really
at least
funny.
as like an end of the episode joke or like a cold open joke. That might be kind of reality breaking to have it be the whole episode, but I do love that as a gag.
Yeah,
That general concept of bringing in like
I mean it doesn't even have to be long.
Mhm.
It doesn't even have to be long. Just the idea that in this other school there is also these 2, and you know, just knowing that and having them interact at least once would be enough, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? So I have to say this: the
Uh-huh.
episode where they do the fashion show,
Yes.
and it's the girls kind of like discovering what a thong is and like
Yes.
wearing their first thong. Did you ever watch Degrassi?
I have never seen a Degrassi. I don't
Oh
know
my
a
god,
thing
I feel
about
like
it
you
except that
would
Drake used to
love
be on
that
it,
show.
which like everybody knows. So I'm
I
reduced down to 0 again.
I feel like you would love that show, especially since you're like, this is all about the 90s, early 2000s.
I would
Like,
love to go back and watch a Degrassi for real. I've
there's
just
an
never gotten to it.
there's a similar episode on that show that I kind of remember. There was an episode, I think, where one of them, yes, did get a thong for the first
Mhm.
time, and I think it might be the same episode or a different one. I don't really remember because
Mhm.
I don't I only watched it when there was nothing else on, so it's like I caught like
Yeah.
random things. Um, But there was another one that I remember was like one of the ones they advertised heavily because it was supposed to be a real scandalous one. Where one of the characters didn't wear underwear at all. She went without panties. And it was like, what is she doing? Oh my goodness. And like just like immediately when that was the thing and like that one character bent over and you could see that she had the thong on, I was like, this is like that episode in Degrassi.
I will confess I have never owned a thong before, but this show made me want to buy one. I'm like, is it that good for real? I want to try that.
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll go to the mall and you can get one.
And then I can walk through a big paper banner.
Yes, exactly.
As we're getting close to wrapping it up, I want to just take a couple minutes and just talk about some of my favorite individual little jokes throughout the show.
Go for it.
One of my favorites is in the episode where Anna wants to stop racism. So she puts the sign on Maya's locker that says, I am Japanese. And then she has gotten the theater kids to pretend to make fun of her so that then Anna can step out like, what you are seeing right now is an example of racism and it's bad and don't do what they're doing. Like she's just making them do this like scripted display. And one of the theater kids like flubs his line and stops and starts over.
Yeah.
In what is supposed to be like a grounded, true to life, like we are doing this undercover, we're not supposed to be acting sort of thing. Like he's like, yeah, and you look different. You look different. Like he's like,
Which, I mean, granted, like, that is such a real thing, though, because I've seen that happen, and it's just like, there you go.
It's so funny. It is exactly what that kid would do.
Yeah. I don't remember, was that also the choir kid who held the note out a little bit too long and thought he was hot shit? Because that was also a really funny moment for me. I was never in choir. I joined band for like a year because I wanted to play the drums, but I hated it because they were like, you need to learn bells, and I was like, that's not what I signed up for.
What do I look like a hunchback to you?
Yeah,
no bells.
But like there was that one choir kid where they all hold the note out and then stop, and then he goes on some like and he's like, yeah. Just like, you idiot. No one likes you.
I did do theater when I was in middle school. There were some hams. I was probably one of them.
But, like, I can understand, like, the whole thing of, like, them fighting for this solo, and the one girl was just, like, super pit. Like, that makes sense. Like, I liked that when she just has this, I hate this, I hate her. You know, like, I should have been the one. Like, that is funny in the sense of, like, I've seen that happen. Whereas the kid holding the note out was just, like, okay, that's just a funny, like, gag. Sure, there were kids kind of like that, but this seems more like a caricature of that kid, you know? Did you have any other, like, visual gags? I have one.
What's one of your favorites?
The school dance.
Yeah.
When, I forget his name, the boyfriend, to Anna.
Oh, Brendan?
Yeah, when he walks in and he has the, like, spiked choker on and the, like, emo hair just out of nowhere.
Yes.
Just, like, didn't even mention that he liked that kind of music. No. It's not even like he dresses emo just for that dance specifically. Yes. He just walks in with eyeshadow and eyeliner and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, sure, there you go. You look special.
That kid was so entertaining every time he showed up. Oh, I also really like the episode where they find a cigarette and they go out to like a convenience store to buy a lighter, and they think you buy multiple lighters. They're like, we'll take 4 lighters.
However many normal people buy. So what's that? 4? 2? We'll just take 2.
And Anna feels like such an adult that she turns around to like an 8-year-old and she's like, you're here with your mom? I'm not.
That one's really funny because it like that was a joke that I almost couldn't tell if it was actually happening or not, because yeah, she says that, but like would the mom who's standing right there just be like let that happen? Like, wouldn't she say something like, what the hell are you even doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are you talking to my son? you know? Who happens to be like 10 years younger than you, you know?
I'd love to see a babysitting episode, because that was another thing I did when I was 13. I just want a season 2 that's like all the other stuff I did when I was 13 that we didn't get to see already.
Yeah, like... Or an episode where one of them stays home sick, and like what they do. Well, when it's like, I mean, yeah, I have a cold, but I can spend all day like playing video games or watching movies or, you know, playing in my room. So what do they do when they're like sick home alone? You know, that would be really funny as well. But yeah, I think when what's his name walks in, he's emo. It was one of the best moments.
I also like in that episode, this is just like in the background, you hear the school announcement say, the rules for the dance are nothing short, nothing tight. We're gonna dance till the morning light.
Yeah, nothing short, nothing. But then at the dance, they were like, "Okay, this is our last song for you to get freaky. Get your grind on, kids." And I was like, "Oh God, they are like 13."
I don't remember that happening when I was 13.
They where were the chaperones at that moment?
Where were any of them? Where was that cool
chaperones with
custodian?
with the flashlights? But like, don't. 2 inches.
Room for the Lord.
Yeah. That would be fantastic. You mentioned the janitor. Mm-hmm. Did you happen to like the character of the janitor? What are your thoughts?
I liked her a lot. I talked earlier about how like the one other teacher we usually see and the principal like just feel kind of tired, like they're just done dealing with these kids. Like they're there to help them, but like, please be quiet, sit down, don't make a big deal out of it. The janitor really felt like on all the kids' sides, really sweet, there to help them out, very gentle. She only shows up like 3 times, but she's great.
Yeah, that was fantastic. It's not the exact kind of janitor I had in elementary school, but it's very similar. Mm-hmm. I remember our janitor's name was Mr. Rice, and he was pretty cool most of the time, but he was scary when he like was like, "You get over there!" Like he was like, "Oh, okay, we didn't do anything." But for the most part, he was nice, and he would joke around with you and stuff like that. Because he did all of the janitorial stuff. He was also kind of security and like facilities manager, stuff like that. But yeah, that was a good character, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like all the supporting characters. I like their parents a lot. Anna's dad is so sweet. Like, I love that they, in the episode where they go out to buy the lighters, they're like, we're just going for a walk, Dad. And he's like, okay, do you guys want any money? And he just hands them some money. Like, I forgot what, you normally had to work harder for it than that. But I do remember and miss the feeling of your dad just giving you $20 and it's like, now the world is mine.
That's a weird thing today. because I'm sure that happens very differently
Mm.
than it does instead of him like pulling out cash. Like, I wonder if they're just like, all right, I Venmo'd you $20. Like, there is no like handing you this physical, like, here is the
They
money that you
gotta.
can spend, you know. And then yeah, it's like, well, do we get the 2 lighters and some soda and some chips, or do we spend it at the arcade, or do we go to the comic book store? What do we do? You know, we have $20 that we have to spend. We need to make the most of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like, all right, I Venmo'd you $20. Have fun. It can still be the like, all right, how do we spend this? But still, you know, just like, I don't know.
Yeah, like when you get it digitally, it just sort of becomes like a big amorphous pile of numbers. But when somebody hands you $20, it's like, this is my ticket. This is a token. What do I trade this in for?
Yeah.
It's exciting to be young.
Sure is. Sure is.
Because everything's so big and it hasn't lost any charm yet. And I try to retain that charm now as an adult. Every time I go to the mall, I'm like, I get to go to the mall by myself. I can buy whatever I want. Do I want a Cinnabon? I'm getting me a Cinnabon with my own money. I try to live the way 13-year-old Melissa would want adult Melissa to live.
There you go. I think that's a good thing to live by. I think that's kind of about it.
Yeah.
Everything we have to say for Pen15. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that show as well. Melissa, what would you recommend to other people if they liked this show? What should they check out?
This reminded me a lot of Wet Hot American Summer, which you and I watched for the podcast last year. That's a lot more of a straight up comedy. It's very weird and silly and absurd. But it also features like adult actors playing like 16, 17-year-old camp counselors amid like real kids. And the real kids in that are also hysterical. That's one of my favorite movies. It's really funny. It's got less heart to it. It's more gag filled. But if you like this, definitely check out Wet Hot American Summer.
Yes. I'm trying to see what episode it was that we did that. See what number it is.
This is like last August.
Let's see. There is Wet Hot American Summer was episode 19 of the review show.
Oh, we were babies.
We were little babies. We were little babies. Cool. So yeah, if you guys wanted to go check that out, we have an episode on Wet Hot American Summer. I mentioned Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
I mentioned Degrassi. You know, I've never actually seen Buffy, but I feel like Buffy would fit in with that too. It has the like 90s styles. Yeah, if you just want to look at more things that look like this, you could watch 90s, Buffy. Yeah. I guess we also mentioned Big Mouth, which is a similar type of show. Big Mouth is animated. It's a Netflix show, but it's about these like middle schoolers, high schoolers growing up and discovering puberty and sex and porn and drugs and all sorts of good stuff. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. Go check that stuff out. Sounds good. Melissa. Let's see. I am pulling up my notes here to do the pitches pitch time for this next week. Keep in mind that this next week we will not be live streaming the episode out to the public, but instead we will be doing a private live stream for our Patreon sponsors, supporters who are at the $1 or above level. Just one. Less than the cost of 4 lighters. Exactly. Patreon.com/the Whatnauts. So for this week, I wanted to bring back some pitches that I've pitched in the past, got turned down.
Oh, it's a flashback week. Okay.
Kinda, yeah. So the first one that I wanted to do was Batman White Knight. This is a graphic novel by Sean Murphy. Who does the art on this? That's what I want to know. Batman White Knight, Wikipedia, help me out. Maybe he does all of it. Yeah, written and drawn by Sean Murphy with Todd Klein on the letters and Matt Hollingsworth on the colors. Anyways, this is a graphic novel kind of putting Batman in a modern day time in the sense that cell phones exist, and when anything happens, people are taking pictures or videos of this stuff. So there's an incident where Batman meets the Joker and beats him up in public, and people are right there filming it with their cell phones and such. And Batman is a very brutal character. So this video of him beating the Joker to a pulp goes viral, and it does not look good for Batman, because that doesn't really look good. Maybe we should actually do something legally about Batman.
Yeah.
Maybe we should finally be like, hey, Batman, it's not cool to do this stuff. And Joker ends up going in a coma, and when he eventually wakes up, he has the bright idea to, instead of becoming the Dark Knight, becoming the White Knight. And so he wants to kind of save Gotham in a different way, and it's by turning the tables on Batman a little bit, and finally being like, hey, we need to stop Batman. Batman's the real bad guy here. So that's Batman White Knight. I believe it's only like 8 issues total. But I think that would be a fun one. Fun one to read. I've heard good things.
Nice.
Next thing that I want to do, pitch number 2, is Ruby. Ruby seasons 1 and 2. This is an animated show by Rooster Teeth. I'm a big fan of the Rooster Teeth podcast and a few of their other stuff, but I've not dived into Ruby yet. I've heard about it. I've seen it. I think it might be on Netflix. I know it used to be, but I know it's also on Crunchyroll. But seasons 1 and 2, the episodes are usually fairly short. But this is, let me read the little Wikipedia thing here, is an anime-influenced web series and media franchise created by Monty Ohm for Rooster Teeth. The show is set in the fictional world of Remnant, where young people train to become warriors called huntsmen and huntresses to protect their world from monsters called the Grimm. The name Ruby is derived from the 4 main characters' forenames: Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang, as well as their associated themed colors: red, white, black, and yellow. Ruby. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read
It's the blah, blah,
anymore.
blah, blah, blah that's really selling me, Kyle.
There you go. Well, in that case, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it seems like there's an interesting animation style, a lot of action. It seems to be kind of a female-centric action show. I've wanted to get into this for a while, and one of the things that really sold me on like, okay, I need to put this on my list, is that when the creator Monty was making the map of the world that they live in, I saw an interview where he was like, basically, I just took a napkin, put some mustard on the napkin, smashed it all together, and opened it up, and the shape that it made was the land mass.
That is
that we used.
neat.
And just like as a creative person, I'm like, that's amazing. It's so simple, and it's so like you wouldn't think of that, or it's so, I mean, you might even say that's really dumb, but it works so well. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. So
How many episodes is this?
Let me see. List of episodes. Come on, Wikipedia. So season 1 has 16 episodes, and season 2 has 12. But a lot of these episodes are very short. Some are only like 6 minutes long, 4 minutes long.
Huh.
Some of them are 10 minutes long.
Okay.
So seasons 1 and 2 combined equal about 5 hours worth of content.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's like watching 2 or 3 movies, basically. 2.5, maybe. There you go. So RWBY seasons 1 and 2. I believe you can find that all on Crunchyroll, and it might be on Netflix too.
Yeah, that
remember
sounds familiar.
seeing it on there at one point, but I don't remember if it's still on there.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, let's see here. Where is... I need to find...
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was on... Oh, it was on that computer. Okay.
Why is this so complicated?
I'm blanking on what my third pitch was, and I told myself, I was like, I don't need to write it down. It's fine. I'll remember it.
I've got a secret hope. I've got something you pitched to me in the past that I didn't pick, that I've like regretted for months. Like, I like the thing we did end up covering that week, but I also wish we could have covered that.
It was so what I did is I went back on episodes on our YouTube page and went to all the odd number ones, which is the ones that is a pick that you do, and I'm the one that pitches them at the end of that. And I think it was what did I? It was on. It was the last.
If you don't have it, I'm gonna pitch a third thing for you.
Give me. No, it was a. Oh, it was on Comixology Unlimited. That's right. That's right. Because I'm being an idiot right now. Pitch number 3.
Oh,
this
finally.
Is not the one that I think you are hoping that I.
It is not.
I wanted to read Spencer and Locke.
Oh yes.
This is a comic book. It's a 4-issue graphic novel with a strange and intriguing concept. It's a crime noir story about a detective and his partner, but his partner is this tiger in a trench coat.
Yes.
Because this is like a grown-up version of Calvin and Hobbes.
Yes.
And it's like, what if Calvin and Hobbes grew up to be like hard-boiled crime detectives? And I really like that. Like, I like that idea, and I have heard okay things, but I don't know anything about it. So I would like to check it out and see what this is about, because it has such a good concept.
Yeah.
Like, let's take something you know and love, age it up, and like do a whole new spin on this thing. Now, obviously, they can't use the exact same name, so he picked 2 different philosophers. Went with Spencer and Locke. So there you go. That's my third pitch. Pitch number 1 was Batman, White Knight. Pitch number 2 was RWBY, seasons 1 through 2. And pitch number 3 was Spencer and Locke. Volume 1.
I'm gonna, for the record, the thing you pitched months and months ago that I didn't pick, but I kind of wish you would pull back into the rotation again, is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, okay.
I think what we ended up doing that week was FLCL because the second season was about to come out. So I'm like, I'll pick that one because it's timely. But like, I've been thinking about that movie like ever since then. I'm like, he's got a point. I really could watch Oh Brother, Where Art Thou again. But what I am picking out of these is Spencer and Locke because it is downloaded to this shared Comixology Unlimited account that we use for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep seeing it in there in like the My Books list. And I'm like, I do want to see what the heck this thing is.
I started it and like I read like the first page and then I got distracted, and so it's up there in the like, hey, you're still reading this
page.
The first like couple pages, I don't know, but yeah, it's like prominently like up there as like, hey, remember you're reading this. Don't forget.
So let's finish it off then. Let's come back to it.
Yeah,
I do want to know what in the world this story is, because the other ones I can kind of see where they might end up. I don't know about this one. This one's a wild card.
It is. I think that's a good way to describe it. So Spencer and Locke, let me pull up a little bit more information so I can, let's see here. Spencer and Locke, where'd you go? There you are. Book details. So Spencer and Locke is written by David Papoose with art by Jorge Santiago Jr.
Okay.
There we go. Sweet. Or I guess it's not a tiger, it's a panther. It's a little bit different, but still the same kind of concept. And so there's that mystery of like, is he real? Is he not? Can other people see him? Who knows? But yeah, that seems fun. That's what we'll do for this next week. Spencer and Locke. It's on Comixology Unlimited. If you have a subscription to that, you can read it on there. Go check it out. Go support us on Patreon, patreon.com/the Whatnauts for $1, and you can get our live stream for that next Sunday at noon. This episode's coming out on a Wednesday.
Yes.
If you want to get it early, again, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is where you can get all the cool stuff. Melissa, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT.
And I am at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want to get updates for our show, it's at The Whatnauts on Twitter. We will keep you posted with all the latest things we're up to, when we're going live, what we're doing here, what we're doing there. Mentioned all the Patreon stuff. We have a new, coming up, we will have a new exclusive episode of the review show for Patreon subscribers at the $3 tier or higher. And that's going to be on some Batman Beyond episodes.
Yeah, if you were disappointed we didn't pick White Knight this week, we are going to be talking about 3 episodes of Batman Beyond and 1 episode of Justice League Unlimited that all are kind of consist of one arc together, which I'm interested to see how that plays out, because I am not familiar with the episodes you pitched to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to condense the story of Batman Beyond into like one consumable thing.
That's nice.
There you go.
Okay.
But that being said, that be on the lookout for that in the next couple weeks. That should be up. I think we're gonna try and record that sometime in about a week from now. But we'll see. We have some planning to do. That being said, this has been episode 51 of the Whatnauts review show. We will see you guys next week. Adios, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching that episode of the Whatnauts review show. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to get more episodes like that, consider supporting our channel and subscribing. If you want a different episode, we have our most recent upload right down here. Go check it out. Thank you guys so much.